Hello! Have you purchased a VTuber model but would like to customize it beyond the available options? Well, I've been there, and while fun, it was also pretty hard and pretty intimidating. But I didn't surrender, and since I figured things out. And now it doesn't seem so difficult anymore. I might even end up making more outfits for myself. Then I will hate my life. That's fine. Anyway, I would like to share that knowledge with you so you can get even more creative with your model too and make it way more personalized. Let's begin with how a model can be customized. Well, there are two ways. The first one is the one already offered by your model. There are various customizable models already available on the market, like the ones from Suiika, Prism, or Senmaku, which is the one that I'm using. Some standard models also have toggles to customize them, however, usually it's just a few, if any. The second one is editing the files of the model, textures, to make it truly unique. It's the focus of this video, as I've done it myself with no prior knowledge whatsoever, and I quite struggled to find a comprehensive guide that would show me what to do. Instead, I was just looking up many various sources, Discord servers, I don't know, even Facebook forums. There's crazy. Let's start with the basics. So, in order to edit your model, you need to first find the texture files. Just go to VTuber Studio, find the settings, make sure you are in the little gear icon, and click the button Open Data Folder. This will open the folder for VTuber Studio, and here you have to click Live 2D Models. Find the specific model that you want to edit textures for. In my case, it will be Day 0. I did rename all of my folders, so yours will 100% have a different name. Here you will have to find the folder with textures. It's usually just in one subfolder, so here, in case of Senmaku. And you will know that you're in the right place because you will see a lot of PNGs. I would suggest you to pin it to quick access so you can quickly get back to it. You can do that by right-clicking on the folder, then click Pin to quick access, and now you can find it easily on the left-hand side. You can see that I'm now in a different folder, again in a different folder, and here I'm back to the correct one that I pinned before. To make changes to any of the textures, you need a program that supports files with transparent backgrounds. To name a few, Photoshop, Clip Studio, Procreate, or GIMP. Really anything that works best for you, or that you have available. Editing textures sadly does have its limitations. In general, you cannot go beyond the edges of the original textures. So, for example, let's take a look at this antler. I can make it shorter and thinner, but I can't make it longer or thicker. When I do go beyond the edges, it will get weirdly clipped. Note that there are cases where you can make the texture a little bigger, like this antler. I could end it just where the texture clips, and that way it's gonna be bigger than the original. However, depending on the texture, it might not look that great when you're moving around. Just test things out. You can even make some colorful mess around the original texture, load it in VTuber Studio, and see where exactly the clipping occurs. Because of this limitation, be mindful when choosing a proper texture to edit. Let's take my body top, for example. I've created it on this existing top, as it matched my desired shape the best. I could draw the new top within its bounds, and I didn't even have to reshape the bottom of it. But if I chose this top instead, the shape of bat wings just wouldn't quite fit. And if I chose this one, I could potentially make it work, but it's likely it would look wonky when moving around. This leads to another rule. Check out the textures animations and see what works for your design. Let's say I like to make a long pencil skirt out of this texture. This is the original texture when moving around, and this is after the edit. The way it's been rigged just doesn't work well with such changes, and it might happen with anything. Myself, I've noticed it mostly with the clothes, however, I'm quite sure that depending on what you do, it might even happen with like hair. So yeah, watch out for that. Your model might come with a small guide that outlines what each texture is. If it doesn't, what I found helpful is coloring each texture I want to check and loading the model with that. I'll show you how. Open the texture in the program of your choice. While I will show what I do in Photoshop, no matter what software you choose, the steps will be very similar. Of course, the interface and the naming convention might be different, but the method is all the same. So, what I do in Photoshop is create a new layer, and then I just paint over the body parts that I want to check. I use different colors for each part, so I can easily recognize them. It's looking a bit messy, but don't worry, trust the process. What we are gonna do is create a clipping mask, which in Photoshop you can just right click on that layer and choose clipping mask on the list. And that's how you will contain the colors within bounds of the textures. And that's how we make sure that nothing weird will happen. So, time to export it. Make sure that you do it as PNG because we do want to preserve the transparent background. And now, make sure you are exporting it to the correct folder. We are in the copy, so everything is fine. And we will override the texture 1 because that's how we will load the model with our colored body parts. Now, it's time to load up the model. Now, thanks to our changes, we can see exactly what is what. Keep that in mind when making your design. In general, I would advise against designing something that spreads over 2 or more textures because things can get distorted and weird. So, for example, when designing tattoos on my chest, I focused that it's like in this green area rather than going onto, I don't know, this armpit area or arms themselves and so on. So like, let's say a chest tattoo wouldn't really work that well if it would spread the sides. And that's because, as you can see, everything is moving there. So yeah, it just makes it tricky. The same goes with patterns. Like if you would like to have, I don't know, a little grid over your chest or like flowers, anything. If it will go over here, it will distort weirdly. That's why I have just a mesh on my chest and it works fine as there is no pattern. So anyway, just keep that in mind. I would like to show you how to edit textures on 2 examples, clothing and body parts. Starting with body parts, we've got here open the file with body textures. And we are gonna first add some tattoos. I've got here these 2 designs saved, which by the way, I've got from stamps in Procreate, like brush stamps, and I can totally recommend using that method to get some nice tattoos for your model. Anyway, let's put them on the arm, and we know already that this is the arm thanks to the previous guidelines. We don't care much where exactly it is, just showcase purposes. Okay, we'll use clipping mask again, so the tattoos don't go beyond the borders of the arm. And also let's add a gradient to the hand. What we'll do is go to that layer and then select this exact area so the gradient doesn't go to any other body part. And now choose gradient and let's do something like this. Now, time to save it. And here we can either override the previous texture that we've made with all the guidelines, or you can just make another copy of the model so you have this one to always come back to if you would like to check how the body is built, or like play around in any other way to figure things out. But yeah, in this case, I'll just override this. And now it's time to reload the model. Here we go. And as you can see, we have the tattoos on the arms now and the gradient on the hand. It does not go to other fingers because we didn't add anything to fingers and all of them are separated, but we can easily do that to everything. And in case you would like to know how to have different tattoos or in general any asymmetry in your body, then don't worry, because I am planning to explain that very soon. Now, on to clothes. You can easily get from this to this. And I hope that by showing you exactly what I've done, you will get some confidence to play with clothes yourself. Because you can really make various different things. Like, of course, you can just take like the original shape and just change the pattern, the texture of the material, anything like that. But you can also completely change the shape of it and it will likely look nice anyway. There. Myself, I made from the skirt, like from the original one, a body little thing, like this. And I will show you what exactly I did by step. So, at first, I just sketched out what I want. I did it in Procreate, but yeah, of course, did it anywhere. So, at this point, I knew that, okay, this is what I'm going for, and I made the outline. So yeah, just the line art to know where exactly I want this to be. What I did was I turned on the mask and using the black brush on the mask, of course, not on the layer itself, I made all the elements that are like outside of the outline disappear. Here, it's done, and it's time to put on the color. So I would fill the layer in the target color, in this case, this kind of purple, and then use clipping mask so it's contained within the edges of the new shape. And of course, it looks a bit weird, it looks flat, so I will change like I'm actually not sure how it's called, like the mixing mode or something, but yeah, there is a lot to choose from, both in Photoshop and other apps. And here we go from normal to multiply. As you can see, the shading from the original skirt is preserved. And in theory, we could already just stick with that. In my case, I did want to go a little bit further. So this is what I ended up with. Now, at first I had like no further plans, but it did look kinda boring. So it was time to add some accessories. And what I did was adding like this little belt thingy that I would attach some chains on. And then I decided for the chains. I made some coffin. And in case you are curious how I did it, I just basically drew one single coffin and then copy pasted it and created the chain out of it. I also, oops, not this one. I added endings, so these little balls that are like connecting them together. And I looped them around the skirt so it looks a little bit more natural. And once done, I added the shading to both of these things. And honestly, I kind of winged it. It's just two colors and I don't have much knowledge about how light gets on things, so it might be a bit pushed. But yeah, since it's small and not that much visible on the model, this works. So yeah, you can totally do that just with two colors. Then I did other chains the same way. And ta-da! I have my skirt. You can totally experiment with clothes. I would recommend that you do some sketch, then see how it looks like when animated. But either way, there is a lot of freedom that you can have with your clothing and accessories. So, good luck! Remember that when you save a file into PNG, which then you can load in VTuber Studio, all of the layers that you've made, all of the changes are baked into that file. So if it happens that you need to make any changes, edits, whatever, then you need to have the work file. So yeah, I totally recommend to keeping it saved somewhere safe. You can have it in the same folder as your model textures, but you can also have it anywhere else that you want. I have a separate folder, so as you can see here, there's a lot of textures with various names as well. And this does not change anything for the model. However, when you are saving the file for the model, then make sure that it is PNG. Otherwise, there will be no transparency, VTuber Studio or other program won't be able to read it properly. And apart from the format, the name has to stay the same. So this work file does have a name texture 18 corrected, but if I would save it here, then I would have two textures and only one would be visible in the application, which is this one, not the corrected one. So yeah, I and you have to make sure to save your files with the names exactly like here. There shouldn't be any duplicates if you would like to see this one specific version. You might have noticed that there's a bunch of textures that are a single thing. For example, one arm, one leg. And yet, your model has two arms and two legs. So, is it even possible to have a different design on each arm? In most cases, yes. It's just a bit more playing around, but it's nothing too difficult, I promise. I'll use my model as an example, since it does have two completely different designs on both arm and forearms. So, here is the texture that I have for this model, like normal body parts. There's only one arm, one forearm, and that's why it also loads at the model like this. I can't really, somehow by default change it so that my left hand is different than the right one or anything. But I can change it by doing some cheeky stuff. And in this case, we'll be finding a specific texture. In case of Senmaku, it will be this one, texture 18. So you can see here, like kind of shadow counterparts of some of the body parts, especially arm, forearm, and leg, which is what we'll need. And yeah, by changing them and then changing some settings in VTuber Studio, we can make it happen. I'll show you how. Keep in mind that every model is different. So, your file of alternative body parts might look different, or it might not be there at all. Just check out your files. If the alternative body parts are there, the method is basically the same. Here is the texture in the editor, in my case, Photoshop. I did make myself a background so everything is more visible, but yeah, that's up to your preference if this makes it easier for you or not. Anyway, what we want to do now is to drag the texture that has normal body parts. Here it is. And now it's time to match like the normal body part to this. Since the layer underneath, the one that we are working on, is normally outlined, we want to kind of center it so it's outlined nicely, just like the hand on the opposite side. Well, the arm. Some other changes I've done, I shortened the torso, and I also softened the outlines fully over the model. So I chose this purple, and that's why the outlines in my model aren't in the black / very dark purple, but instead they are not even that visible. There's not much difference between in color and the outline. Coming back to our arm, keep in mind that it won't behave the same way as the other arm in VTuber Studio. So your skin that you colored, the color of skin that you chose, will not be the same for this arm, and you will have to change it directly in the editor already. What I did, honestly, is taking a screenshot of my model's face. I took the color from the middle of it that wasn't really affected by any filters or anything, and I just put it here. So yeah, here are the colored body parts with my normal skin tone. Once that's done, it's time to put on your designs. I didn't do mine in Photoshop, so I can't really show you everything, but I did draw them and then just save them to PNG, got it on my PC and put it over here. So here is the corruption that I've got, and it's like pretty rough as you can see, but yeah, with the clipping mask I was able to contain it to the arm. And then the specimen. I actually just sent this whole layer to my tablet and then drew it over the arm. So that made it easier to make sure that everything like works correctly. What you can also do here is of course changing the texture of your second leg. So what I did is again drawing on my tablet on the original texture and then just putting it here. And like that, we are done. So it's time to turn off the background if you have any, to make sure that you have transparency, and save the file with the same exact name in the folder of your model. As you can see, right now not only the designs are mirrored, but there is always this creepy thing of the meta room of my specimen peeking out. And like sure, we are going for creepy, but not this type of creepy. So let's change it. And we'll do that by going into settings. Then click Customize Model. Just make sure that you are in the section of your model settings, which is like this little creepy person thingy. Yeah. And here, click Customize Multiply * Screen Color for Art Meshes. It might load for quite a while because there's a lot of meshes, so just be patient. Okay, here we go. Okay, now when you are in these settings, time to find the art meshes that you want to hide. Click on your hand or anything else that you might want to hide. When you hover over any part, you can see what exactly it is. So in this case, yeah, we are clicking this. It's kind of red. Nice, we're in the right place. And now we have to find the exact specific art mesh that we are interested in. And we can do that by clicking the little eye icon, because this highlights in red the art meshes. Yeah. It seems like this one is the one. So let's click the toggle, and then we are interested in this specific thing. If you drag it all the way to the left, then the art mesh will completely disappear. And that's the one that we are looking for. Yeah, we are gonna here just click OK, model. And we'll do the same for the other art mesh that we would like to hide. And let's find it. I think it's this one. No? Okay. Nice. Yes. It is this one indeed. Yeah. That's how now our right or left, I guess, hand is completely different than the other one. And we can do the same for the legs or anything else. Maybe you would like to have your haircut asymmetric or something, then you can do the same. You can click the texture, find exactly where it is, and hide it. Then for the legs, I will do it here. I click my leg, and I try to find this art mesh. Maybe it's this one. Yes. So yeah, I hit it, and now I have both my top and bottom pretty asymmetric. You can do the same for your model, hopefully. I would suggest that you always check your edits in movement. They might look great on a model that doesn't move, but the moment there is any tracking involved, things get wonky. And it really doesn't feel good to have to scrape your work because of that. Trust me, I know. Also, don't get too attached to one idea of a design. It might not work with the textures of your model, and you will have to make minor or bigger changes or even change the whole idea. But don't get discouraged by that. I'm sure you can make it look amazing anyway. Another thing It's a great practice to make a copy of your model files and save it somewhere safe. That way, you can easily get back to the original textures if something goes wrong. I really hope you found this video helpful. If you did, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and if you have friends who would also like to edit their models, share this video with them. Feel free to ask any questions you might have below. Anyway, that's it from me today. Bye!